everyone, it's Sharla here, co-host and co-founder of 100 Most Powerful Women, along with Jacquie Somerville, where we work together on 100 Most Powerful Women, where we mentor 100 women each year to look like a million, feel like a million, impact millions, and of course, make millions of dollars by doing what you love. On today's show, we are talking about your big why and why that matters. Welcome, Jacquie. How are you today?
Hey, Sharla, I'm doing great. So good to be here with you and everybody who's listening. It's an exciting topic because without a big why and something that juices you up and gets you super excited, you're not going to do what you need to do to live the life of your dreams.
Yes, absolutely. And that's so important. Lots of times we're looking at, hey, what's our passion? What's our purpose? But what really lights our soul on fire is why we want to do those things. And that's what we're talking about today. And so maybe you're thinking about that right now as to why you do what you do. And of course, that's, lots of times related to our businesses, which, we help women build massively successful businesses. And what drives us is our why. So Jacquie, what do you want to kick off with when we're talking about our why today?
So there's a little story that makes its way through personal development world that I love so much, or a little scenario. And I want the listeners to think about this scenario for them. If I told you that there was a bag containing $5 million in cash at this particular address, but you have to be there at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning in order to claim it, what would you do? Everybody says the same thing. Well, I would do whatever it takes. I would be there at 10 minutes to 4, or I'd be there at 3:30 or 3 a.m. waiting. Why? Because you'd be motivated. You knew that the money was there. You were excited. I bet you spent the whole night not being able to sleep, thinking about what you were going to do with that $5 million. You were all juiced up about it. And so you did whatever it took to get to that address on time. No matter where you were coming from, you found a way. Why? Because there was $5 million sitting in a suitcase in cash waiting for you. So when we look at that and we think about that and we realize that, it tells us that if we are not doing the stuff that we know to do to bring us what we desire, whether that's 5 million in cash or 50 million, or whether that's a new house, or whether that is a rocking business, if we're not doing what we need to do it, it's not because we're lazy. It's not. Because look what we would do to go and pick up that suitcase with 5 million. It's just because we're not motivated enough, because we don't believe that it's there. There isn't that why thing isn't strong enough for us. We're like, yeah, but the money's not there. So, but if I told you here it is and here's the address, you believe it so much you'd go and get it. So there would be no laziness, there would be no excuses, there would be no reasons blocking you. So when our why and our desire for something is not so powerful that it's tangible, that it gets us so darn excited that we will do anything to be there on time and to go and get it, what happens? We lose motivation and we don't do anything. So our why has to be powerful because of that reason, Sharla, and it has to be juicy enough that we are so excited that we will use planes, trains, and automobiles to get there. So I just love that story because it shows us it's not that we lack desire. It's not that we're lazy. It's none of those things. It's just that the why is not tangible enough, not exciting enough for us, and we don't believe that it's there for us when we reach for it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that is so key, is that it's got to excite you to put you into action, that gets you jumping out of bed every morning, that you can't imagine your life not doing this. And, money is definitely a big motivator of that, is that when you can create, that's why a lot of people start businesses, is because there is no cap on what you can make. You can create any kind of an income from a business. You can have total, complete financial freedom. I think that's the big difference between entrepreneurs and those that choose to, work for somebody else, is lots of times you have a limit on what you're going to make when you're working for the man, so to speak. You have a salary each year, and maybe if you're lucky, maybe you'll get a bonus or whatever. But entrepreneurship really does, set a lot of people on fire because of the ability to be able to make any amount of money that they want to make. It also goes hand in hand with whatever kind of impact you want to make. And I think that's a big motivator for a lot of people as well, is that feeling of being significant in this world, to make a difference, to make an impact, and the change that you want to make, the mark you want to make on the time that you're here on this earth. You hear a lot of people always talk about legacy, what you want to be left, what you want to leave behind, whether that's for your family, creating generational wealth, or whether that's something you've accomplished that people remember you for decades and centuries to come. And we all have that ability to be able to do that. And a lot of times that makes up our why, is knowing that we can have this impact while we're here. We can have this significance, and that you never truly know all the lives that you can touch or the difference you can make. We're here because Edison created electricity. And so somebody who really followed their big goals and dreams, even when somebody thinks that you're crazy, because that why drives you so much that it will change every person's life. And we all have the ability to do that in our own way. And so I think that's a big part of our why as well, is yes, that financial success that you can achieve, but also, the impact that you can make along the way.
Yes, exactly. And you have to believe that your why is possible. Because if you don't believe that your why or your whys are possible, you are not going to do what it takes. So for a lot of people, they're driven by the desire to give their children a better life than they had, to send their kids to great schools, to give them the opportunities that they didn't have. That's a big why for a lot of people. For a lot of people, the why is, as Sharla said, significance, to leave this earth with having made an impact. So people love to have their names on buildings and on hospital wings and so on, because that somehow gives them a feeling of significance. And there's nothing wrong with the need for significance, as long as you go about getting it in a positive and not a negative way. And it really is getting in touch with what is your big reason for succeeding in life. What is your big reason for taking off the limitations that have so far held you back? And if you're not doing that, you need to really take another look at what is your motivation behind everything. Get super juiced up about it. How do we do that? Well, we do that by allowing our imaginations to run wild, by truly saying, if I did achieve what I want to achieve, what would that do for my life? And then going there in the imagination, getting so super excited about it that you see it, taste it, feel it, touch it, hear it, all of those things. It is that real for you. When you can tap in to this extraordinary thing called imagination, your why will drive you. And that is how to do it, because you get so juiced up by your why that when you come out of your imagination, you'll do what it takes to make it happen. It will provide you with that thing called motivation. And remember, I love what Zig Ziglar said about motivation. He said it's like bathing. It works, but you have to do it daily. So you've got to motivate yourself daily about your why. You've got to go into that imagination and see your big why already being true, so that you're juiced up about it. And you've got to do it every day, because so often we see this waning in people that we work with. I mean, I see it. I've seen it in my own life, right? We forget to tune into our imagination, to do our meditations and all of that. So what happens? Our why becomes weaker and weaker and weaker, and therefore we stop doing the stuff that we know is going to get us to what we desire in our lives. It's so fascinating. Remember, it's like bathing. It works, but you got to do it daily.
Yeah, absolutely. So true, Jackie. And I would say, your why is going to push you to take risks. Like that's the thing is it pushes us outside of our comfort zone that's where truly all the magic happens. It's always calling you to your greatness. And when your why is bigger than, I always saw it as that, what I wanted to do was so much bigger than me. And that was exciting for me, is knowing that I could tap into divine power. I could tap into my why, and I could keep walking confidently in that. And that means taking some risks, whether that's investing in yourself, whether that's taking some chances with your business, whether that's saying yes to opportunities, is that our why is so important to drive us outside of our comfort zone, which is so, so important. We need to be challenged, and we have that need for uncertainty in our life. It's why people tend to give up or throw in the towel or don't go when they get bored of what they're doing. If you know how it's all going to work out for you, that's when we get bored and we no longer enjoy our life and we're looking for something else and something different. So, if your why pushes you outside of your comfort zone, it creates some uncertainty in your life. It's always going to drive you to become more than you are today, to become a better human being than you are today, to be a better businesswoman than you are today, to really tap into that greatness, which I think that's what we all aspire to do, is become the greatest versions of ourselves. And that's what our why can do, is really to challenge us so that we become all that we can become on this earth.
Yeah, Sharla, I just love that you brought up risk. It's so, so important that if our why is strong enough, it does make us step out, take a risk, get out of the comfort zone, and do all of that. It pulls us, even though the natural thing for a human being is to stay in safety and security. When you're that juiced up, it pulls you out of that comfort zone. And then taking the risk and getting out of the comfort zone has that double whammy, because now you're taking the risk, you're moving towards what it is you desire, your why is pulling you. But very often when we take a big risk, sometimes that means that we put ourselves in a situation of extreme hunger, right? And I talk about this a lot, is when we've got our back against the wall and a gun to our head because we've taken a big risk, we've leapt off where angels fear to tread, we have jumped off that cliff, and now we're trusting that at some point that parachute is going to open, because we got to jump in order to, live our dreams and make our goals a reality. And so we do that when we've got our back to the wall because of a big risk that we took. So now we're hungry as well as passionate about what we desire. You put those two things together, you can move mountains. So yeah. I love risk, because risk oftentimes gets me into a state of hunger where it's like, okay, you there's only one way and it's up. What are you going to do now? Yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes we need to remove the safety net.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we just got to jump and trust that the net's going to appear, or that you're going to be taught to fly. And, we've both done that in our lives, and there's lots of viewers who's out there that might, want to jump into entrepreneurship and have the comfy, cozy job that you hate. You dread going, you have the, Sunday night blues every weekend, you're crossing the days out in the calendar, counting to retirement, whatever the case might be. And that's no way to live. Sometimes we got to take that leap of faith. And I've done that myself. I did have a 20-year career working for the Canadian federal government. And there was a day that just came that I knew intuitively and divinely that it was time to go. Now, is that a scary step? Yes, absolutely. It can be scary. But what I know for sure is that everything that we want is on the other side of fear. And, I had to really take a hard look at me as to, what, I'd already built a successful business. I was already an entrepreneur on the side, which a lot of people do have that side hustle. I knew I was smart and capable of doing this. I just had to trust that, I could let go and confidently let go and step into, who I could be on this earth, the impact that I could make, and really embrace my why that was so important to me, because my why wasn't calling people about their taxes every day, and that's what I did. And as much as it was a great job with, a pension and benefits and all that kind of stuff, sometimes we put too much weight on it, as opposed to you can make any amount of money. That you're not going to worry too much about, the pension that your workplace is giving you, or the benefits, when you're making 100 times that in your business. And so lots of times we put too much weight on, other people's goals and dreams that we're helping them work towards, as opposed to what's really in our own hearts. And I think that was the realization for me, is that God was calling me to something bigger. And I just knew that in my heart. And I knew that it was time to go. And when you trust and you let go and you surrender and you step into that divine path wholeheartedly, wow, miracles can happen. I mean, what I saw happen over the next few months that brought me to the Amazon rainforest gave me the vision of one woman, and creating it into, one of the most, one of the largest women's empowerment organizations in the world. That only came with trusting, with challenge, with taking risk, with trusting that, we are here for a bigger purpose, and that our whys are so powerful. It can be so powerful with helping you to make a decision that can really change the whole trajectory of your life. And we've seen that happen in our lives. We've seen that happen in our clients' lives, and so many women that, we've had conversations with. It's just amazing to watch that when we trust and we really tap into that why, how powerful it can be.
Yeah, so true, Sharla. I'm going to share my why, which I haven't really done publicly, and it took a while to figure out what it is for me, because I am a natural born manifester. I can manifest all sorts of things in my life, but I was raised with this mantra of, my darling, your dreams are so big, you're going to have to marry a rich man. But when I was a little girl, there was something even back then about that didn't sit well with me. I was a feisty kid. That seemed wrong. And I observed the women in my family being super smart, very loving, very gifted in many other things other than being mums and wives. And they were gifted at that, but they were gifted at many other things. And I remember seeing them always give way to the man, having the man be the head of everything, the man being in control and in power ultimately. And I remember thinking, that's not for me. First of all, I knew I didn't want to have kids. I didn't want a traditional relationship. And I would look at this going, I don't want to be second fiddle to a man. I want to be like the man. I want to be the one bringing in the money and having the power. And all of these things were what I felt as a little girl. So contrary to the narrative. My darling, you'll be a great secretary, you'll be a very good wife, and your dreams are so big you're going to have to marry a rich man. Those are the three things that permeated my childhood. And it was very difficult for me to shift that thinking. It's no surprise that subconsciously, of course, I went on that path, and I did end up with a very wealthy man and all of that stuff, because my conditioning was such. And because I did have a wealth mindset. I've always had a wealth mindset. That's not been the problem. But I didn't believe that I could build a successful business on my own. So what happened? My big why became that. Proving to myself that I could be the owner and the CEO of a profitable company. Me. And that has been an extremely powerful why that drove me to spend every dime I had in pursuit of it, hiring the best coaches, working with everybody and anybody who could help me figure out this thing that would switch my brain from what I'd been conditioned to being that woman, claiming her, knowing that I was her. And that's what working with coaches and reading and joining forces with Sharla, all of those things have helped me to see myself before I even created it in reality. Because, oh man, the day when I realized that I had to pay the IRS a bunch of taxes because I had a profitable friggin' business was truly an extraordinary day. This girl did it. That was a huge why for me. The why that drives me is proving to myself. Yes, there's a little bit about proving to others too, I will say. I don't think that's wrong because I don't want to stick it to them. I love them dearly. Anybody who ever said anything to me, I love them. It's not as though I have bitterness in my heart. There's nothing wrong with having the why of proving yourself either. And so proving to them, but proving to myself more than anybody was my biggest why, and still continues to be. It's also why I still have big goals and dreams. I can manifest money anytime, anyway, anyhow. I've proven that. My big why was to prove that I could be a successful entrepreneur, that I could get my money from creating a company using my own gifts and talents. So everything that's on my vision board behind me, all of it, the big why behind it all is not because I am so driven to drive out in a Lamborghini Urus. It's the person that I have become to put down the cash to buy the Lamborghini. That's my big why. So if money is not motivating you enough, I want you to look behind the reason why you want the money. What is it? And if it's proving to yourself that you can do it, that to me is a super powerful why. That's what drives me. That's what drove me right out of my comfort zone. To spend every dime I had on creating my business, putting everything on the line because my why was so damn strong that I was willing to risk it all, and I did. But oh man, am I ever happy, because I was never gonna die having not become a successful entrepreneur. Never in a million years.
Yes, and I think that's so important, Jackie, that you said that, is really digging deep as to, what is your why and why is it so important to you? Because that's the thing, is that you did have all the money in the world. I mean, you were massively wealthy, but still there was this unhappiness, unfulfillment, because you were in pursuit of your greatest potential. And that's the thing, is that when you follow that, you can create any amount of wealth that you want. It was the fact that, you're in the pursuit of your greatest potential, and that you knew you were capable of creating that wealth for yourself. And you're a shining example of that, 100%. Now, I don't know too many people who are thankful and grateful when they get their IRS tax bill saying, I'm such a badass woman that I get tax bills like this, because I'm such a massively successful businesswoman. But that is the ultimate gratitude right there, is when you get that tax bill and you say, look how amazing I am as a businesswoman if I'm paying taxes of this amount. I just love that. Definitely a good perspective for everybody watching, is when you get those big tax bills, you are a massively successful woman in business, no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's so true, Sharla. Changing perspective is so important. My accountant said, don't you have any more write-offs? I said, I've written off absolutely everything. My God, I have a lifestyle business. I work from home. I'm like, what? He goes, oh, well, then, there's nothing we can do. You're going to have a profit. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm celebrating that. I'm celebrating that.
Yes, absolutely. When you can cut those kind of checks, then you know that you're making big bucks. No doubt about it. That's the thing, is when you make them on your terms, doing things the way you want to do them. And that's what's so important for a lot of the women that we work with, is, we have a lot of women who have had successful careers. They've been nurses, they've been teachers, all that kind of stuff, but they know that they're capable of creating something that they do on their terms, impacting who they want to help, how they want to help them, which is so important, and then making the money that they deserve to make doing that. It's just beautiful to watch how that all comes together, and that, you don't have to be spending your whole life, making somebody else's dreams come true, doing what they feel is important. You can do that on your own terms and be always, in the pursuit of your passion, of your purpose. And that really is what always is going to drive us, and, be a big part of our why, is that when we're making the impact we want to make, making the income we want to make, it's just a beautiful way how it all comes together. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about, what keeps us from, getting to our why, or getting to what we want and what's so important to us, which I feel a big part is, the fears around it. We can get in our own mind as to, all the reasons why it wouldn't work out. And also, we're always trying to figure out how it's going to happen. So, if you always grew up, not having money, maybe you've even grown up in poverty, always living paycheck to paycheck, is, you get into this rut as to that's how it's always going to be, as opposed to really embracing, how big your why is and how possible that it is, because, some of the most successful people in history have came from absolutely nothing and have created the most incredible lives, who've created the most impact in this earth, and created the most wealth on this earth. And so we always tell ourselves these stories that just aren't true. And I think that's something important that we talk about, because I think it happens for all of us at some point, whether something doesn't happen the way you want it to happen, it's not working out in the timing that you thought it should happen in, or you just start getting these fears, doubts, and worries that creep in, whether that's coming from outside influences, people telling you that you're crazy for doing this, that all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, and then you start taking them on as your own beliefs, which is important, that you always know that your why is yours. It's yours. And, it's not anybody else's business as to what's driving you to do what you want to do. So, Jacquie, what do you want to say about those things? Because I think those come out a lot for us with our clients.
Yeah, it's so true. It's the old doubt and fear and being preoccupied with the whys. It'll kill you every time. That's not your business. Don't even think about the whys. Just trust and know that, and I mean the hows, sorry. Just trust and know that your why is enough. And when you believe in it, you don't need to know how. The hows show up. The hows are the stepping stones. And I always teach, don't dream in stepping stones. You dream in the big picture. The big why. The big why is where your imagination goes. Don't waste your imagination on stepping stones. Have the courage to take the stepping stones when they show up, because I believe that the divine gives us the stepping stones when we're focusing on the big why. When we're getting all juiced up and excited in our imagination. And so for me, imagining myself as this incredibly powerful, badass businesswoman who built a business from the ground up, and then this businesswoman who's able to go and plonk down the 300 grand in cash for the car and the 5 million for the house, or whatever it is, it's those things that you dwell on in your imagination and in your meditation. And then in your daily life, the divine will give you stepping stones, ideas for your business, coaches that'll show up that you are supposed to work with, memberships you're supposed to purchase. All of these things will show up along the way. You then have to have the guts to take the stepping stone all along, trusting and believing that your big why is already taken care of. It is a done deal. I made my life a lot more difficult by staying stuck in that, you be a great secretary, great wife stuff, and thinking it was going to be hard to break away from that. Instead of just trusting and having faith in the divine, that as long as I dreamed of being a successful businesswoman and I had the guts to take the steps, that it was going to be my reality way easier than I made it. So don't make life difficult by getting stuck in the house. You make life way too difficult when you do that. Simply accept your beautiful, big, audacious why. Dwell on that and trust the God. So how do we do it? Faith. Again, it boils down to faith, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does, Jacquie. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that I'd bet it all on faith, that's the thing, is that, you say it all the time, is that is our source of everything. It's not on, one business deal, or it's not on what your bank account says today, or that relationship you have or don't have. Your source is infinite. It is the universe. It is filled with every possibility. And that's the beautiful part, is when we decide to tap into that, we are limitless in our potential as to what can happen for our life. And, we can only imagine so much, but God has such bigger plans. And I just think of, if I would have listened to anybody that I would have asked for advice as to leaving that job to step into what I do today, there probably wouldn't have been one person that would have told me to go for it. And that's the thing, is that's what divine guidance does. When you truly tap into that, is it tells you to go for it, that to just trust that everything's working out exactly as it should. Because people thought I was nuts. And I'll be the first to tell you, not everybody's going to agree with what you do. Not everybody's going to be on board. Not everybody's going to think it's a great idea, and that's okay. That's none of your business. Your business is to keep confidently following that path, trusting that divine guidance every single day. Because I know the day that I typed up that resignation email and hit the send button, there wasn't one person that didn't think I completely lost my mind. I gave up a government job, pension benefits, great pay, vacation time, you name it. But that wasn't enough for me. It just wasn't enough. I knew I was capable of so much more, and I wanted more for my life. And that might be you sitting here watching today, is knowing that this can't be all there is. Life is short, it is precious, and we decide every single day what we want to do with it. You're capable of doing anything that you dream of, and more. And more, because God brought me to more. I never could have imagined that only 4 months later I would have been in the Amazon rainforest working with women and building a women's empowerment center there. If I wouldn't have left my job, I wouldn't have had the vacation time, to be able to take and do that. God's always setting you up for success. And I love that part, is, I can look back at my entire life and watch how I've been set up for this very moment, and that you're always being prepared, for your greatest moment, your next greatest moment. And what is to come. It's all preparation as to what is to come. And that should excite you. That's what you should be excited about every single day. That if you're dreading life every day, if Monday's rolling around, if you're stressed out and worried all the time, that's just no way to live. That life is extraordinary, and we truly have the ability to tap into that. And I'm so thankful and grateful that I didn't trust, or talk to others as to what they thought I should do with my life, that it was always between me and God. And that when I heard that it was time to go, that was the day that I just trusted. I surrendered, and I didn't know how it was going to work out. Thank God I didn't bank it on well, how am I going to make all the money that I need to make to be able to offset, the quality of life that I was used to living. I didn't care. It was more of being in the pursuit of my passions every single day, and knowing that the money was just going to come. And oh boy, it's came in ways, shapes, and forms that I never could have imagined. God had such a bigger plan, that even if I thought of, the things that I wanted to do with the company that I ran at that time, because one woman didn't even exist. That's the thing, is that God was, preparing me for the greatest thing in my life. The greatest thing in my life. And all it took was me to trust that. And that when that opportunity came, that I was prepared for it. And so, it was just trusting. I didn't know how it was going to work out. I had goals for one woman that looked a certain way, and God had other goals and plans that I just fully embraced, wholeheartedly, jumped in, all in, just trusted. And really, that has really shaped my why. Because I am so passionate about empowering every woman to be able to realize this for her own life. Whether that's a little girl, dreaming to go to school, in Africa, or whether that's a woman in New York City sitting at her desk saying, there's got to be more for my life. I know that that's how I'm being used on this earth, and that I stepped in it wholeheartedly, just trusting in that divine guidance every single day. And, fear can be a powerful thing for us, is that, it keeps us small. It keeps us stuck. It keeps from realizing, our greatest potential. I would say everything that you want is on the other side of fear. For me, it was a decision, looking at myself in the mirror one day and just saying, I'm not scared anymore. And fully embracing, what God had in store for me. and I'll never look back. There's not a day of regret. And it's not to say that it wasn't a bumpy ride. I think we both had moments that have brought us to our knees, made us question everything. And that's why your why is so important, is that when you always have that to go to really look at, to reflect, to have those God moments and those honest conversations with the universe, is that it helps put you always back on that path so strongly and so passionately that nothing will stop you from doing what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Sharla, so well said. And the whole thing about a dream is that it's your dream. So it's totally understandable that no one else understands it, right? Because it's not theirs. It's not theirs to understand. It's been put in your heart. And I believe that our dreams and our desires come from the divine. Because this divine intelligence, God, is kind of living vicariously through us as we're having human experiences. We were put here to become all that we could be on this earth so that God can experience that with us. And so all of our dreams and our desires come from the divine. And it is up to us to really pursue them and to make them come true and to believe in them. And it's not up to anybody else because they have their own dreams and desires. So they can't possibly understand yours. Don't expect them to. And don't let their lack of understanding and support of your dreams influence you at all. They were not put on their heart for a reason. They were put in yours. Only focus on that. They are yours and yours alone.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why it is so important to have a coach, is that, they're looking at it from an unbiased perspective. They're looking at it from, to support and encourage you on that path, and that's why it's so important, because lots of times we'll go to our family, we'll go to our friends, we'll go to coworkers, whatever the case is. And when you don't hear what you want to hear, then the fear and doubt does kick in and you don't, confidently pursue that. And that's what we love doing with our clients. And for, women who are looking to work with someone so that they can confidently step into the life that they want to have, knowing that it's just waiting for you. All that you want, all that you ever dreamed of, all that you want to become, it's just waiting for you. It's always been waiting for you. Your job is to just say yes and to really, I think, have that acknowledgement that your why is important. And what you're being called to do, the business you want to have, the life that you want to have, that, it is important that you live that, because I think that truly the greatest gift that we can give on the earth is to give the world the best us that we can be, to step into all that we can be. And when we do that, we inspire others to do the same. We help others to become all that they can become, and I think that that's always, it's always, we're looking at what we can do for others. But I've said that time and time again, that when we really step into who we're created to be, to really follow those desires in our heart that God has so divinely planted in there, and to really, step into our greatest potential and to become all of that, the impact that you will make on this earth will be immeasurable.
Yes, it will be. And the other thing that will be immeasurable is your happiness. Because the best definition I've ever come across about happiness, definition of happiness, is that happiness is the joy you feel when you're in pursuit of your full potential. And when I had all of that money and all of those things and I had no happiness, that was a classic example because I wasn't using any of my potential. And that was just killing me because I kind of knew that it was there and I wanted it out so badly. And everybody said, oh, but you're so lucky. You've got, like, protect what you have, stay small, protect it. Don't be going and wasting your money on this, that. And I just went out and I said, I'm going to hire some coaches. I'm going to create a business. What else can I invest in? And I ended up just keeping going down that path. And boy, did I ever utilize all that money. And then everybody was like, oh, we warned her. We told her no. We told her to hold on to her money because they didn't believe in me. But I believed in me. I knew that holding on to that money wasn't the solution to my happiness. Reaching my potential was the solution to my happiness. And that's what's making me miserable, was that I wasn't using it. So when you are out there using your full potential, not only are you going to have an incredible impact on others, because what drives Sharla and I is helping you guys to do what we've unearthed, which is that the joy you feel that happiness is the joy you feel when you're in pursuit of your full potential. And so we help you to tap into that, and in so doing, feed our big why, which was to discover that in ourselves, but now to help you do it. Because once I created a business and tasted that, now all I wanted to do was share that with everybody and go, how many other women are stuck where I was stuck? How many other women can we help to create, to utilize their full potential, to get super rich while they do it, to have all the freedom and all that joy that comes along with that incredible happiness? Because not only are they rich, but they're using their full potential, they're following their big why, and they're impacting others. I don't know how much more joy one can get than that. I mean, that to me is it.
Oh, 100%, Jackie. Absolutely. And yeah, that's what we want every woman to realize for her life. And it's funny, I have a powerful story about that as to how, God taught me that, that it wasn't, the external things that we give. It's, in becoming our greatest selves that have the greatest impact and influence on this world. Because there's one of the girls that I send to university that came and lived with me for 4 months in Canada. She was like, we were working on figuring out, what she wanted to do, what she was passionate about, because one woman was going to cover her university tuition. And so she spent 4 months with me, and she decided she'd go into business management. It may have rubbed off a little bit in terms of my influence of business, but she decided that's what she wanted to do. So she was in university, and she was working full time as well. So, we'd cover all of her tuition. She was able to cover her living expenses and all that kind of stuff. But then she lost her job. And so she was messaging me one night and telling me all about it and all that kind of stuff. And I started getting into the fear and worries and wanted to take those away from her so that she didn't worry about those, so that she could focus on her studies. And I said, hey, Deanna, don't worry. If you need some extra financial help, just let me know. I can take care of, taking care of your living expenses. And she said, no, Sharla. I'm not worried at all. You taught me to be a strong, independent woman, and everything's going to work out exactly as it's supposed to work out. And in less than a month, she had a way better job working for a Korean company that really fit with, what she was taking in school and all that kind of stuff. And I realized it wasn't the money that I could give. That has definitely a place and a purpose, but it's more of who I am and who I can inspire others to be that really will have the most impact on our lives. And that's the beautiful part, is I love how God has those lessons that we need to learn. And, I'm definitely fully aware when those happen in my life. I know you're fully aware when those happen in your life. And, for every woman who's out there, is pay attention to those things that's, really forming you into who you are, who you want to be, and, just to be able to show up and do that how you want to do that on the earth. That's the greatest gift that you can certainly give. So any final things, Jackie, that you want to talk about our why today?
Oh, Sharla, I love that story so much. The fact that she said, no, I don't need any money right now because you taught me that everything was, I'm not worried. That is just the best thing ever. I mean, that is the key to it all, to not be worried about external circumstances, to just have faith and trust. I mean, I'm not worried. No, I don't need your money. Everything is good.
Yeah. And just to say, you taught me to be such a strong, confident, independent woman. That is what I want to give on this earth, is to be able to teach every woman to be a strong, confident, independent woman, that you can create your own way, and that, you don't have to worry about finding a rich man to, fulfill your dreams, or, a job that you don't enjoy doing, or whatever the case is that all the tools that you need, everything's already inside you. Your job is to just give that permission. And so, yeah, I love that story. I haven't shared that one yet, but that's one of my favorite ones for sure.
That is so awesome. And you are so right. If we can just instill that in everybody as you did in her, man, what a different world it would be, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone would get their own power back. Everyone would be in touch with their immense, incredible power, which is one and the same of the universal power. Yeah. Really beautiful. Amazing. Good stuff. Absolutely. Well, no, I think we've said a lot today, and it's all been really good.
Yes, it was a fantastic conversation. And none of these are pre-scripted. You know, Jackie and I just always speak from our heart, from our own experience, share our stories, share our wisdom, just as we do with all of our clients. And so if you're interested in becoming a part of 100 Most Powerful Women, then what I'll do is we've kind of wrapped up our Millionaire Masterminds for the summer, but I will post a link where you can apply, and we'll still be doing an intake over the summer where women can join us. We have an amazing, amazing retreat that's going to come up later this year, where we are going to the amazing, spectacular Beverly Wilshire Hotel in Beverly Hills, where, of course, you know, millionaire women step into, you know, step confidently and you know, live the life of their dreams, whether that's on Rodeo Drive, you know, buying the fashions that they dream of, or just having that millionaire lifestyle. And so we're spending a weekend with our ladies, really being able to help them step confidently into that millionaire lifestyle, so that it's not just for a 3-day weekend, that it is for the rest of your life, because every woman can realize that. So I will post the link in the comments, that if you want to apply, be a part of 100 Most Powerful Women, and join us on this magnificent retreat later this year, we would love to have you. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully you've had a chance to really start thinking about your why and why it's so important. We'd love to hear more about it. So feel free to post in the comments or fill out that application, and we'll have a conversation so we learn more about you and what's so important for you, so that we can help you unleash that to the world and really step into your fullest potential. So we wish everybody a fantastic week, and we look forward to seeing you next time on So You Want to Be a Millionaire. Bye, everyone.